Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing a page where I actually redo a page that I've hated for a long time in my journal. It's not something I do very often, but this page has just been really bothering me. The colours, the fact the stenciling is too dark, I just couldn't think of anything to redeem the page, and it just made me unhappy every time I looked at it. So while I don't do this very much, I think I've done this maybe 3 or 4 times in all of my journals, because usually I can learn something from my pages. This one just wasn't doing anything for me. So one first thing I did was stick some collage over it. Because it had some painting in the background, the colours were sort of all over the place. I didn't mind if some of the colours peeped through, but I just wanted to cover it as much as possible. So I'm using a mix of wrapping papers and tissue papers to overlap and create some interest in the background. This sort of hides all those colours and ties the page together a little bit. Now, as with most of the pages I do, I had no idea where this was going. I just started with collage because I knew it was a good way to cover most of the page that I had. I then went in with a little bit of gesso. Now all the gel medium that I've got on my page is still wet, so you can see it's sort of, diluting is the wrong word, but making it more like a gesso wash over the top. I used the same brush that I put the gel medium down with, so that was still in the brush, so it made it sort of more transparent. It's a bit like using a glaze medium. So once I'd done that, the reason I put the gesso over it was so that it could again tie the page together, give it a bit more of a neutral feel, and you can see I got rid of that completely because I painted over it with some blue. So the blue was a gloss spray that I put on. I started to do some mark making and just thought, no, I'll just use the stencil over the top. So I'm doing a little bit of ghosting so I can see some of that collage coming through. You can still see some of those bits of colour in the background, but that's okay because everything's now looking a little bit more uniform, and I think that's what was bugging me to begin with, was they were just very separate pieces. So once I had the blue there, I decided I would sort of go on a monochromatic feel. Blues are one of my favourite colours. I find them calming and they're just colours that I can work with easily. Some colours I find I have to think a lot about, whereas blues I can just work. So a lot of people have a colour palette that it's just comfortable for them, and blues certainly mine. So I decided to go in with a little bit of a darker colour. This is a lapis, and I'm using the same stencil and doing the same technique. So there's a lot of repetition. It's a repetition of colour. And there's a repetition of the stenciling and the pattern on the page. This is a marine, and I say about repetition and now I'm going in and changing the stencil. This is a very open script stencil from, both the stencils are from Stencil Girl. This is actually a huge stencil that I just cut in half just so I could actually use it a bit more easily in my journal. So if you follow my channel for a little while, you do know that I love text in some way, shape or form on my page. And you can see with this, I'm rubbing away most of the paint. So I'm just getting this look like script in the background. Now you can certainly use a stamp, or you could use your own handwriting to do this over the back. You don't need to use a stencil. So now I've got a background that I am much happier with. And this is a collage little piece that I've had sitting in my collage pile for a while. I chose it because it had sort of this whimsical feel to it. It also had some of the colour tones that I was looking for. So it had those sort of turquoisey blues. She had the blue spots on as well. So it kind of tied in, and grey and blues tend to go nicely together. One of my pet hates though, with a lot of collage images is the space in between figures or arms or legs or whatever, and I tend to try and cut them out. So this one was a little bit fiddly because of obviously it had that umbrella that I did want to keep in to give a little bit of balance, but you can see, well, it's my personal opinion, but I like it a lot better with those little bits removed. I'm just using an X-Acto knife to do this. I find that much easier for me to use. I know some people prefer to use scissors. I've always used a knife, even when I was card making, so I'm quite comfortable with it. Use what's comfortable to you, and if you don't want to cut these bits out, that's fine too. You could always paint over them and blend them into the background as well. So don't feel it's necessary, it's just something that I like to do. Part of the reason as well is I just focus on the image and I get to see more of my background once I've cut those bits out. So now I've got my horse in place, I'm just going to glue it down. I'm just using some gel medium over the top. And you can kind of see my process in here. You saw me at a stage sort of sitting there and tapping my fingers, not sure what to do. And then you can sort of see when my hands speed up, even though this video is sped up, that I'm actually creating without thinking. So if you see me going slow on my videos or slower in my videos, it's usually when there's some sort of thought process happening. Once I just go, it means that I'm not thinking, I'm just doing. And it means that it's sort of coming together and I'm happy with the page. As with most pages I do, I like to put some sort of little quote on it. In this one, I went and chose a quote about sort of where you're going, sort of the journey, kind of, obviously they're on a horse and going somewhere, and with the person they're going with, but also because this page went on a little bit of a journey. So the fact that I was sort of going on a journey with my page, I wasn't sure where I was going to end up, but I sort of trusted in the process and went with it. That's where that came with. So with my writing, I've just used my Posca paint pen. I decided to colour in the little circles. I'm quite liking that font look at the moment. It's really easy to do. It looks quite cool when you change different colours as well, so you colour them with a different colour. And then I'm going in with my black pen just to push them out from the background. And from a distance, it really doesn't look like it's doing much, but when you do a close-up of it, as you'll see at the end, it really does push the letters off the page. So I'd highly suggest, if you want to have a little bit of more finished look with your quotes or your fonts on your page, just highlight them either with a white or black pen and see the difference and how they pop off the page. So this is my finished page. The collage piece that I've got, I can't honestly remember where I got it from, just in case I do get any questions from that. It may have been from a Womenkind magazine, but I really can't remember, so I do apologise for that. It's just one that's been floating around for a little while. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.